Hello. So today we're going to be doing another quick VOD review for everybody that's been liking my videos and checking out stuff. Today I especially the videos uploaded late because I wanted to stream and get a couple games. The games weren't that fun, but a lot of people showed up from YouTube, so thank you. And thank you for the support. It means a lot, and, even if I was a little bit tilted today. I definitely appreciate all the support, so I just wanted to start by saying that. Of course, we're very close to our sub goals, so if you do like my content, if you watch one or two of my videos, I'm not saying you have to watch all my videos all the time, but if you generally come back to this content because you like me going over my VOD reviews and some of my guides, make sure to like and subscribe because it helps out a lot as well. For this game, I don't know exactly what the portal is because I'm starting the VOD review a little bit late, but I'm pretty sure I end up just playing Wrath of the Moon here, which we'll see why. We'll see the other options. So if you don't know already, one of my favorite lines to play is Umbral. I feel like it works out really well, especially in like gold lobbies where people can hit really high roll type of boards. Wrath of the Moon is very strong. It got nerfed, so it's a little bit weaker than it used to be, but it's still like extremely fucking strong. If you look there, it says they deal 4%, so I think this VOD was before the patch where they nerfed it. I don't think that really affects anything in terms of the playstyle of playing towards Umbral units, but just so you know, whenever you're playing towards Umbral, typically what you want is you typically want to hit a vertical Umbral. 6 Umbral is the huge spike, and you want to hit a spat, right, in order to play around that 6 Umbral. So here, Wrath of the Moon, it drops me, I forget the unit, I think it just gives a Yorick, right, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go back a little bit and then I'll skip back ahead. It gives you a Darius and a Yorick. So I already started the game with the Darius too, which is why I was leaning towards Wrath of the Moon. And my items are also built towards AP, right? Typically when you see Wrath of the Moon, you're leaning towards Alune. I know that Yone is very strong these sets and these times, right? It does work as a certain out, but with Yone, typically you're playing towards Reaper. A lot of the boards that are really good with Reapers aren't the boards that are necessarily good with Umbral, right? Umbral Reaper is one of the weaker variations of Reaper. It is a possibility, and you could play Wrath of the Moon into Yone if you have Yone items, but typically when you see it, you want to play towards Alune. That's what you're thinking of. Now, obviously, I don't have any Alunes. It's not that good right now, but basically the reason Wrath of the Moon is so good with Alune is the way Wrath of the Moon works is that the longer you're attacking a certain opponent, as you're attacking that opponent, you slowly build damage against that opponent, right, or against that unit. So the longer that you're stuck on a unit, so let's say they have like a Giga Tank right here, let's put a smiley face. If there's this Giga Tank and you keep attacking it, you slowly keep building damage. Here I just end up taking these items because I didn't want to reroll it. Guinsu is kind of high roll, we'll talk about it later, but it's not the end of the world, and the rest of the items are kind of okay, because the Spark is good and the Gunblade's good. There's no point in rolling it because I'm playing towards AP and those are good items. But basically just keep attacking this guy until your attacks get bigger and bigger and you start to do more damage. The reason it works really well with Alune is because Alune does AoE damage. So let's say the Alune is attacking this Kabuko. The Alune will keep attacking the Kabuko. She'll keep gaining a bunch of damage because the way Wrath of the Moon works says you keep attacking the same opponent until that opponent dies. You keep gaining damage, but then she'll hit a AoE move, like you see it all the time. She does like the little crescent moon circle thing, and it hits a whole row of units. Because she's doing AoE, you basically scale up her damage, and then she does a shit ton of damage to like a bunch of units in the row, right? Because the AoE is scaling because you're hitting one unit, but then all of a sudden you just drive by, kill the rest of the units with your increased damage, right? That's why Wrath of the Moon is so good, and it works with a lot of the units, right? A lot of units that hit multiple units, even Silas on his third swing, he hits like in a circle and it hits multiple units. A lot of the Umbral units work really well towards those type of galaxies. Here especially, I'm playing against a Kabuko player, right? Umbral is really good into those type of augments because the way Umbral works in general as a trait is that it gives a health shield, so it gives you general tankiness, but also gives an execute. And executes are really good against the hero augments because basically all you have to do is get their health to a certain point and then they'll just die, right? They're just dead, right? Anyways, that's kind of the intro. I tend to lean towards Umbral a lot. I find that Umbral to me is one of the more like reliable top 4 style comps. The main thing you want is Umbral +1 though, right? I'll show you in a second why that is. We'll go through the carousel here, but then I'll quickly show you like a build-a-board type situation. You always want to play with Umbral +1 because the Umbral spat is really important. That you don't have to play all of the Umbral units, and it makes you a lot stable towards the end game. Because the best holder of the Umbral spats are other units, right? A lot of the Umbral units, there's a lot of them that are kind of like shitters. They're not really that good, and they don't fit into the board really nicely. Here's the Alune with a glove, so I'm just going to take it. So now I'm off with an Alune. I'm on my merry way. The thing that makes Umbral, playing towards Umbral really nice, is that you can always pivot out of it. Here I'm taking Wrath of the Moon, so I'm kind of hard forcing Umbral in this case. But you can always pivot an Umbral board to a Lilia board really easily, because you can play around this Alune until you have like an upgraded Lilia, and then you can swap the items off the Alune into the Lilia. That's typically how it works, kind of. If we look at stats, right? Let's just do this a little bit quickly. I'll just put Wrath of the Moon, right? As you can see, it averages like a 4.4. It's a fairly average placing thing. Obviously, if you have a Silas, it goes up through the roof, right? Let's go Wrath of the Moon. Let's go like 6 Umbral, and you'll see that it'll probably be a little bit stronger, right? It averages like a close to a 4, right? That's what I mean by if you're playing towards like a 6 Umbral line, it's really good. As you can see, typically if you're playing like a Yone, the board isn't doing that great, right? This is what I mean by usually you're not playing like a Wrath of the Moon 6 Umbral Yone kind of board. You're usually playing around you know, the other variations where you're playing like Dryads and Invokers and all of that stuff, right? When you're playing Wrath of the Moon, the main thing that you usually want to play, so let's just go Umbral. So I'll show you 2 different boards, right? If you're playing Wrath of the Moon and you need to hit 6 Umbral, you have to find all the Umbral units, which is very difficult. But if you do, your board might look something like this. And then typically, you'll usually see like Ornn, because Ornn fits in really nicely because of Behemoth. And a lot of times, like, at this point, you'll probably have, like, you know, let's say if you're playing around the Alune with Invoker, you probably want to have, like, an Azir, something like this, right? And level 9, you probably have, like, some extra Reaper unit with Ghostly or something like a Kayn. This is, like, when you're playing around Yone, as you can see, it becomes very difficult. You kind of have to sack the Yone and just play, like, better frontline units a lot of the time. So, for example, like, playing an Alawi is really nice because it gives your set a little bit more tankiness. But in the setups of Wrath of the Moon, a lot of times you can play like around different types of 4 costs, right? You can play Azir, you can play Lilia, and you can play Irelia. All of these units are units that do a shit ton of damage. I think even Hui sometimes works, but Hui's, I'm not going to talk about it, works the same way. But typically you're playing around one of these 3 units as your backline. And basically what ends up happening is Lilia basically can snipe the backline, do a bunch of damage. Azir can snipe the front line and do a shit ton of damage, and Irelia just does a bunch of damage and hits the whole board, so she's really good. Because Umbral gives you a health execute, having an Umbral spat on one of these 3 units is usually extremely strong, right? Umbral spat on Azir, because Azir does so much damage, can easily just kill a frontline board, right? With very little, like, struggle. Lilia sniping the backline and just doing a huge explosion of damage is really, really strong in Wrath of the Moon setups as well. And Irelia, for the same reason, she just like spreads damage across everybody, so she can proc the Umbral execute. Here, I'll hover over it, right? She'll proc the Umbral execute, the 25% health execute, really easily, right? 6 Umbral is also really important because it allows you to place your units anywhere on the board, so it's a really big spike from 4 because a lot of fights depend on positioning, right? So typically when you're playing Umbral, that's why you really want a +1 spat, right? The reason is that it's really hard to play around this Yone and also have 6 Umbral, right? And as we saw before when I showed Wrath of the Moon, it increases by a lot if it's 6 Umbral. If you play 4 Umbral, you're in a very bad spot, right? So let's say like let's just try like a 4 Umbral board, for example. You'll see that it averages like a 5. Like, it's very poorly. Like, you usually want to just play as many Umbral units as possible. Strictly, the Silas goes really hard and Alune goes very hard, right? If you go in terms of traits, I think the best one, obviously 9 Umbral is like broken, but if you're Wrath of the Moon, the best thing to play is 6 Umbral. There's this 5 Exalted. It's because there is a particular Exalted board that fits in 6 Umbral very, very easily. It's like Alune, Azir, and something else. So there's this particular 5 Exalted variation. It's very strong. But typically, you're just playing towards 6 Umbral. That's like your go-to all the time. And if you look at augments, I'm pretty sure Umbral Crest is like one of the best ones. Besides like these ones, they're all very like, you know, Wandering Trainer, Learning to Spell, Midnight Siphon, right? Raid Boss. These are all related to like playing around Midnight Siphon. The next best thing, besides like spat ones, is Umbral Crest. You always want to have an Umbral +1, so you don't have to play around that other unit. Obviously, there's this one with like the Reaper Crown. Basically what this variation is that you're playing Reaper Alune typically. You're still playing 6 Umbral, but you're just playing like 2 Reaper. And then if you make it to level 9, you can fit in 4 Reaper and 6 Umbral. It's a little bit more high roll, so obviously it's going to do well in the stats, but it's mostly that you're playing around Alune. And then something that I always like to go for is fully adaptive when I'm playing Umbral. Fully adaptive is really, really good on Silas. It's not that good on Alune. You're not really making adaptive helms for Alune, but you're making adaptive helms for Silas, and then you just play around like a Silas care, and it works really strong. It works really well. In terms of items, I'm pretty sure like Umbral Spat is like the most important thing. If we're looking at units, let's just go like items here. Spatulas. Where is it? Where's spatulas? Am I crazy? Emblem. Sorry. There we go. Umbral Emblem is always like really high placing because it's really high roll. And as you can see, if you look at the units, right? You can go like Delta, I think is fine. A lot of these are just like very situationally high roll. It's hard to like show it. It's hard to look it up without the pro stats. It used to show before a lot easier, but now there's like a lot of these high roll situations of who the best holder is. But it's typically like you play around 6 Umbral. It's hard to show here. I could show it like, let me go like Team Builder. Where is it? Home, Stats, Explorer, Wrath of the Moon, 2-1, Umbral, Crest. Oh, it doesn't show it. Okay. Units. Rakan, Azir, Set, Irelia. Okay, this is what I was saying. Usually, your placement is really good if you have an Irelia on your board, if you have an Azir on your board. Right? And typically, you just Umbral Spat one of them. It's hard for me to filter it. I forgot exactly how to get the filters on the free version for this one, but, you know, hopefully it makes sense. Here we're on stage 3, right? If we look at what augment I got, I just took New Recruit, right? It was a Prismatic, and I didn't get, like, an Umbral Crest, so I just took New Recruit because it helps me to fit in my board a lot easier, right? And then we're just playing around this early Alune that we have. Obviously, this game isn't going to be the biggest high roll because I hit Wrath of the Moon first. Obviously, I'm forcing into Umbral without having the Umbral units. Just know, like, there's some augments where they are very strong and you can play into the line. But your average placement won't be that high, right? Right now, I'm full streaking and I'm very strong. A lot of times, Umbral, it's like hit or miss, right? You really have to have, like, a good opener for it. I had this Darius 2 with Wrath of the Moon. Darius 2 is already a really good item holder for Umbral units. So having this Darius early is really nice. And it allows me to play around the Darius, right? My items aren't necessarily the best. I should probably make something, right? I'm just going to make an adaptive helm here. I want to make some sort of a Alune item to try and continue my streak. And then I have good items like this Gwinsu Rageblade, right? That's like an okay Irelia item. It's not the best Irelia item, but it's okay. And Morello works really well with Alune, right? Hitting 4 Umbral is a nice little checkpoint, right? Even if I'm just playing like random units, I'm just trying to play as strong a board as possible. Here, I probably should have leveled to keep my streak, right? I want to keep this streak hold as much as possible. Whenever you think about Umbral, this is the most important thing. Umbral, because remember the board I showed you? It's like Azir, Irelia, right? Set, right? Remember I showed you this board? This equates that you want to be level 9, right? There's a lot of 5-cost units that you have to hit. It's really hard to fit in the board on level 8. A lot of times people get baited. They see like Umbral and they see Wrath of the Moon and they think I'm going to reroll Alune, right? I'm going to go for Alune 3. It's like, yes, you will probably go for Alune 3. Also, it's probably a level diff last round. It's a little bit of a sloppy game, a little bit of a sloppy video. Sorry about that. It's just the way the weeks have been going. It's just really rough because really hot in my room and just trying my best to manage keeping up a daily upload streak while trying not to faint is really difficult. Here I'd probably also make Nashers, honestly. Nashers isn't that bad of an Alune item. Anyways, what I was saying is, Umbral, you always want to play from a win streak. You always want to be full streaking with Umbral. You want to be going straight to level 9, right? Level 9, and then you roll, right? The reason is like, obviously you can roll on level 8 if you're like in dire straits, if you're losing a bunch of fights, if things are really awkward and difficult, right? But you always want to be level 9 because your board spikes really hard with the different units, right? Irelia works really well with this comp because Darius is a duelist, so you keep the Darius in for the synergies, and then you put the items on the Irelia, and the Irelia works. Azir works really well because you can fit in Dryad really easily with like an Ornn for frontline, as well as play around the Azir doing a bunch of damage with an Umbral spat, right? Obviously, I'm playing Umbral, so there is a small chance that I tailor myself an Umbral emblem, right? That is something that always happens. It's not particularly high roll. Basically, the way the game works is if you're playing certain units and you're playing certain traits, there's a small percentage chance that you also get an augment that is related to those units or traits. That's why sometimes when people are playing Umbral, they get an Umbral spat. When people are playing Mythic, they get a Mythic spat. People are playing Faded, they get Faded spats, right? There's a certain amount of tailoring that works, and that's why you hear people say, I need to play these units to tailor for these units, right? So what I'm really hoping for is that I hit an Umbral spat here. If I don't hit an Umbral spat, then I still have to play 6 Umbral, but my placement is going to be a little bit more difficult because I need to play this Yone. That's why I took New Recruit as well. Right, New Recruit not only gives me the duplicator that can make it that I hit a very early unit, right? I can hit Silas 2 really easily. I can hit Irelia, right? When you're playing around 5 cost, this duplicator is like immeasurably strong. But also having the extra spot for a unit makes it so that if I have to play this Yone, I don't interrupt the rest of my board. Yes, I don't get the benefit of having an Umbral spat on Irelia or Azir or Lilia where it makes them very, very strong and it gives them that health execute. But at the same time, I benefit from the fact that I have the extra spot, so I still get the 6 Umbral in terms of the shield and the execute that will help my Alune do a bunch of damage. That's why New Recruit works out really well in the spot that I was in. Now I'm going to roll all these. I'm hoping to find an Umbral spat. If not, I'll just take the strongest thing I can hit. I'll roll all of them, right? Because if not, I'll just take Best Friends or Ascension, and I hit Umbral spat, right? It's a little bit high roll, but it's not very high roll, right? Obviously, the best way to do this is the other way around, right? When you look at this game, don't look at this game as, oh, I'm going to force Umbral every game, right? What I was saying is that Wrath of the Moon is very strong, so you can force Umbral, right? If you have a Darius 2 and you have AP items, then yes, go ahead, play Umbral, right? That's what I was saying. I should have bought that Lilia, by the way. Oh, that was really bad. I should be buying these Lilias because Lilia with Umbral spat is probably the best board that I can play instead of this Janna. Instead, I'm just playing around this Lee Sin, and I think that's very stupid of me. Yeah, so this is a big mistake here. I'm being really greedy, but I should sell this, play Lilia, and then I can even fit in like a Mythic board, right? I still have this Cho'Gath on my board, right? I would have had Lilia too, and that can cause me a lot of placements. We'll see how it goes, but it's kind of scary that I didn't do that. But of course, I think I'll probably end up hitting something else because I have this duplicator, right? I definitely saw 2 Lilias. Lilia 2 with Umbral spat is way better than this Janna, by the way. Just know that for reference. Obviously, I'm playing like some kind of whack-ass board because I didn't really hit, and I'm just trying to like stabilize, right? Whenever you roll on 8, it's really difficult when you go straight to 0. Because I'm New Recruit, I feel like I'm just looking for a Silas, right? As soon as I have a Silas, I'll feel stable, and that's why I'm greeding a lot, right? So the reason I'm not like buying Lilias and doing all of this is because I really want a Silas. Anyways, I hit Silas and Irelia, so this is great. I do have one problem though, which you will see very shortly, and that is that I don't have a replacement Darius. So somewhere along the lines here, this is another big mistake, and obviously, like, you know, you might look at me and think like, okay, this guy sucks, he's making mistakes, whatever. I think it's always good to show these type of games because there's a lot of games like this that I just do something very, very silly for no reason. Right, so right here, I rolled an extra time, and I wanted to make a Alune 3 because it makes me stronger immediately, right? In doing that, I sold the Darius, but it was a very, like, instinctual, run-of-the-moment thing. I forgot to replace my Darius. Before selling the Darius, I should have sold this Darius, swapped them, even though it makes me slightly weaker. If I have to spike that Alune this turn, I needed to hold this Darius because it's going to be very hard to find a new one. And that's going to cost me a lot more HP in this situation than otherwise. If I sold the Darius and I sold the thing, I also could have afforded to buy the Lilia and play the Lilia here. So that roll down was more of like a panic situation. It was more like I need to find a Silas as soon as possible. So I was very fixated on finding a Silas, right? But not recognizing the fact that I sold my Darius. I think the turn after I realized it. Now I cannot sell this Darius because the 6 Umbral is way more important than swapping these items off of the Darius. So it comes into this really bad situation here. And as you can see, it looks like it all works out fine. But the fact is I have my items stuck on this Darius, and that's pretty bad. Now that I am, though, 6 Umbral, I could potentially just sit around and wait, right? Here I'm debating what items to put on Silas. It's not the best items to put on Silas, right? I really want to put Spark on Silas. Spark, Gunblade are probably my Silas items, so those would be ideal. But anyways, I have Irelia, I have Silas. I just need a Darius, right? There is like some really risky tech. Like if I was like in dire straits, like if I was 1 HP, you can use the duplicator on the Darius. I know that sounds really troll, but it's just an important thing to note. It works really well if you're a lesser duplicator, right? If you have the blue one instead of the gold one. If you're in dire straits, like you're gonna lose the game, this Guinsoo on this Irelia is a lot more important than like Darius 2 or anything else. I'm really high HP. I want to go to level 9, right? That's my goal here. I want to go to level 9. I want to play some more legendary units. I want to hit Irelia 2. I have some good opportunities, right? And then this happens, right? This is actually really crazy. Nobody in the lobby is really playing towards Irelia, and Irelia has a belt, which isn't the greatest item. If I can get this Irelia, I'm pretty sure I just win the game. Anyways, I don't get the Irelia. But, guess what? There's a set. And set, guess what's almost as good as Irelia? The fact that there's 2 sets on the board. Here I was going towards the Irelia item, right? I was going towards the set. But right now, what I can do is I probably should sell the Darius. And because the duelist is not that important on Irelia, right? But transferring the item is probably better, right? Whatever small attack speed. Right now, I'm 3 duelist anyways because I have this guy. But I swap out the Yone. Oh, I put in Dragon Lord. Ugh. I mean, I think it's if I'm keeping this Lee Sin on the board. Oh, I have a remover. Wait, when did I get the remover? Did I have a remover this whole time? Wait. Am I fucking dumb? Oh, I've been talking about selling this Darius. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm just dumb. I just didn't realize I had a remover. Even watching now, I didn't realize I have a remover. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to anybody that watched this video and is wondering why I'm an idiot. It's just because, like, I was stressed. It's been a rough day as well. Just in terms of heat. And my game's not going super well. Alright, I should have used the remover like 10 turns ago. Like, what am I doing here? Really? Anyways, we have really good Irelia items now. Right? Guinsoo, by the way, is not a very good Irelia item. I always make Guinsoo on Irelia. It's just the way items work out sometimes, right? Like, I had to kill a bow and a rod, and I don't really want to make other items. So, it works out really nicely for Irelia. Same with, like, a Gunblade. Gunblade got dropped at the beginning, though. The Guinsoo I also got dropped. Both of these items I got dropped at the beginning. So I was playing really like far ahead. And here Darius shows up. So now we're rerolling units, right? Obviously I want to reroll 4 costs because maybe like I could still play this this Lee Sin, by the way, right? It's not a big issue to keep him on the board. I'm just surprised I didn't use the duplicator earlier. I didn't even notice it now. I think like I have the same brain. I see the golden duplicator. I don't see the remover. So, you know, you can laugh at me in the comments. Just give me a little haha. You're kind of silly today, right? But yeah, that was kind of bad of me. This guy's very strong. He's playing towards Syndra, but he stabilized around this Lilia. But I'm pretty sure now I'm just gonna Wrath the Moon, just rail everybody in the lobby. And I just want to tempo till 9. I could roll a lot here though. If I hit a 5 cost, I can roll it into an Irelia, which is really nice. So that's another opportunity for me to get some placements in the game. Here I'm just rolling as many 4 costs as possible because if I hit this the Silas, it's a really good stabilization point as well. I'm also could hit Lee Sin 2, right? Lee Sin 2 doesn't matter that much in terms of this board, so it's all fine. If you look at the board in general though, as you can see, like it's not optimal, right? Obviously I'm 3 duelists because I have this Lee Sin. I can play towards 4 duelists, right? But this board is very flexible. I gave you some options already, like how you want to play it, right? Invoker doesn't really increase the damage output of a Loon. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier for the cast sometimes. But 2 Invoker is very, like, non-important depending on the situation, right? Like, 2 Invoker on a Loon, it might be, like, 1 less auto to... I don't even think it makes it 1 less auto to cast with the items that I have. I think if you have blue buff, it's more important, but I might be wrong about that. So, you know, I don't want to overgreed and play towards Invoker here. I'd rather just play towards, like, having quality units, right? Like, these 4-cost units are all pretty strong, right? And this Lee Sin gives Dragon Lord, so whatever I would have gotten with Invoker, I'm getting attack speed on both Irelia and Alune, which helps with Wrath of the Moon, right? Having more attack speed means more attacks, means more stacking of damage. More stacking damage means that, you know, maybe I just one-shot some shit, right? Especially here, right? My Alune cast, there's a good chance I can just win. I think he's just a little bit too strong because he's Kabuko, right? Against this guy, I just need enough front line to stall. If I have more front line, obviously the Kabuko player won't be able to hit as hard. Just because, like I said, I just need to do as much damage as possible. Here I just put some extra unit on. I got my Lee Sin 2, right? He's not the most important unit to play right now, but there's no reason to rearrange my board just yet. But yeah, as you can see, the game was pretty easy, right? Obviously, if you have a good spot, Wrath of the Moon is just a really, really strong augment in general, right? I started with a Darius 2, and there was a big influx of items, so I was able to preserve a lot of HP. Even though I got stuck on level 8 and I rolled a lot, right? You have to roll in order to hit the 6 Umbral threshold. But as you can see, I'm still in like a very easily top 4 spot, right? There's no way I'm going to lose more HP than these guys. It's pretty much a guaranteed top 4. And as you can see, I didn't send it on level 7 for Alune. That's the really important part, right? Hitting this 6 Umbral threshold as well as fitting in all your units is very, very, very important. So you want to level as much as possible. I still haven't used my Prismatic Augment. It did help me fit in my board, but I still have this golden duplicator. I'm looking for either Silas or Irelia. Right, if I hit Silas or Irelia, I have Silas 2 or Irelia 2, my board spikes a lot. Even a set 2 would be pretty good here, but obviously I can't necessarily say that I'm going to be playing set, right? The one mistake that I made that was pretty big was that I could have played around Lilia, right? If I had a Lilia 2 right now, I would definitely be a lot more gold and a lot more HP. I would have been on a better track towards level 9, right? There was also that mistake about forgetting about the remover where I just had items on Darius for way too long. That was my B, right? Definitely my B. Even in post, I didn't notice it. There are a lot of strong players though, right? This guy is just steamrolling, right? With the reroll. The Kog'Maw reroll, sometimes it hits. If you hit, you hit. If you don't, you don't. This guy hit, so he's very strong. As you can see, without the Silas 2, my front line really lacks a lot of damage. I was maybe 1 or 2 Alune casts off from winning this fight. I just need a little bit more front line. My whole front line is 1 star. And that's the main reason I'm losing some of these fights. But I'm greeding to go level 9 because I would rather be at a spot where I'm trying to play for like a win out, basically, right? This Kabuko player is always going to beat me. The Kog'Maw player, it's very hard to beat him unless I roll for everything. And there's another guy that was playing Silas's. So it makes it a little bit less efficient for me to like send it for all my gold if I don't like have a guaranteed unit to hit. Here I have the Silas. I think the best play for me right now would be to use this duplicator. But we'll see what happens. I put Thieves Gloves on this guy because I already committed an item on set. I might wait a second though, because I might just wait till 1 level. Right, I'm 2 fights off. Who am I fighting? I'm fighting the weaker guy, so I don't think I need to slam the Silas. But that's a little bit. This is a little bit greedy. Oh no, I'm fighting Kabuko. Kabuko's only 2 HP. Oh, so does he just turn it around? He's level 8, sent it to 0. If I was fighting Kabuko, I should have definitely used this duplicator. I might actually win this fight if I had Silas 2. This is actually really, really greedy of me. Yeah, this was just super greedy of me. I don't think I win this fight though, because he has Irelia 2 already. So maybe that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I'd lose anyways. That makes sense. If I lose anyways, I lose anyways, I think is what I was thinking. Rakan placement should be better though. I keep putting him like second row, kind of like off to the side. The Rakan should be more like in place. It should be in front of like the carries, right? Because when he dashes, there's like the reduced damage effect as well as like just damage in general, right? So you should definitely be more angling towards like the carries. But I'm not really working on positioning this Rakan well. Yeah, this was just a general shaky game. This might have been like maybe the first game of the day that I was playing. There's a lot of mistakes here. I don't know if it affects my outcome at the end of the match, which we'll see. But in a very tight lobby, this would have costed me placements for sure, right? And making sure that you guys understand the mistakes I made and explaining them in a way that's understandable is also really important. Because, you know, I don't want to just be like, LOL, I high rolled, LOL, Wrath of the Moon is broken, right? It was good for a really long time. I think I just kind of let my foot off the gas pedal because I'm like, yeah, I'm guaranteed top 4 here and the lobby's kind of strong. This guy that's 100 streaking is the Ashe player. Yeah. This guy just hit really early. has hit the Moonstone gem, which is very, very strong for the entire game. So it's a little bit difficult to play around him. But basically, there's like these guys, like this guy's insanely strong, this guy's insanely strong. I'm basically playing against this guy for like a second or third. But the thing is, I don't think I ever beat the Kabuko. Because I'm just a little bit too far behind. Like, if I have Irelia 2, if I have Set 2, Silas 2, Irelia 2, I think I could beat the Kabuko player. Or Alune 3, but I'm not really rolling for Alune 3. But next turn, I'm probably going to level, and I'll just send it next turn. I'm greeting a lot here. I think I shouldn't have greeted, right? I think I should just use this duplicate on the Silas. I think my thought process is that I think I want Irelia 2 more than Silas 2. But, yeah, I wouldn't go for that. 3 Behemoth. It's probably like an Altruist. Like, Riven here is very strong. I don't even think this is worth making. Am I just gonna sell it now? Aren't I just gonna sell it? Oh, I couldn't make the set in time. Damn. Just shaky play. I don't think I beat this guy. Because I still didn't... like, now I have Silas 2, maybe, but... I don't know. Oh, I'm still Irelia 1. Am I gonna die with a duplicator? That's gonna be so fucking sad. Also, I need to buy this set. Like, do I win this with set 2? Maybe. I win it anyways. This is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter how strong or how tanky his front line is. Because with the Wrath of the Moon and Umbral, you'll eventually just execute, right? So these guys made it to 25 HP and they both just die. So it takes out a lot of, like, the reroll edge of just living forever. Ooh, it's probably Azir. Ooh, that's a mistake. I think I'm just so hyper-focused on finding Set or Irelia. But I should definitely duplicate the set this turn if I don't play it. This Wukong is also very useless. It's an upgraded legendary, but I shouldn't have invested the gold in that. What did I put in? I put in Sage to play around the Wukong. I should be duplicating the set. I should be duplicating the set. I should be duplicating the set. I'm so greedy. I'm looking for this Irelia. I think I'm going to die without finding this Irelia. I'm guarantee it. Right? I'm going to lose the game and I won't have Irelia 2. And I would have spent the whole game with this duplicator. But anyways, this fight's looking okay. If I had set 2, it would have been looking a lot better. Yeah, losing against a Kabuko player. Man, like set 2 lives a little bit longer, stuns the backline. Maybe I just win. Right? I have Rakan 2. I'm really looking for a Riven as well. Riven would be really nice here. Yeah, I'm just never playing towards Alune 3 here because I just don't have enough gold. Just duplicate the fucking set. Yeah, I should have done that like 3 turns ago. Bro, I'm so fucking dumb sometimes. Man, it's so frustrating. Because, like, I guarantee, like, getting a good spot here if I just did that earlier. No? Also, it's probably Aatrox. Why did I put Tom Kenshin? Aatrox was right here. It gives me Ghostly. Right? Because I'm playing Morgana. I'm on wrong side for this. Ashe is on opposite side, so this is going to be a very difficult fight. I probably lose this fight right here. Oh, is it just going to be like a 3rd/4th? It might just be a 4th. Yeah, very poorly played endgame, right? I'm not one to deny myself criticism. Oh, I beat him. Nice. Nice, nice. Maybe I got a 2nd. Or maybe, I should get a 3rd for here, right? This guy's going to die. Yeah, this is a 3rd for sure. It's just if I beat the Kabuko player, I go 2nd. You see, the thing is, this guy can't beat the Kabuko player, so I think it's always a 3rd, because I don't beat the Kabuko player, because I didn't high roll hard enough. But now I have set 2 with 3 items. I should have done that like 3 turns ago. I might have saved at least 10 HP, because you never know what happens. If this guy just RNG loses a fight, I could have got 2nd this game, right? And I can maybe beat the Ashe player. Just the Kabuko player is too far ahead, is the problem. Here, like, a Riven would be really nice. I don't think I can fit in Exalted. So that's a little bit difficult for me. But I have a set 2, which is nice. It's just a Kabuko player. Yeah, I just don't see myself beating this Kabuko player. Opposite side is also a little bit awkward. Yeah. Honestly, I should also put this Morgana up 1 row. The reason you should put the Morgana up is because this grants attack speed. So I'd rather just have the Irelia with more attack speed. typically when you're playing against like boards like this, like hero augments, Umbral is really good into the hero augments. The problem is I'm just too far behind, so I lack the damage to actually kill anything, right? Like, if I have Irelia 2, I'm pretty sure I can beat this guy. Just because all of these units would be dead already with Irelia 2. But I don't have them, and that's why I lose against him. But I think I greeted my duplicator way too much, right? But it's a third anyways. It's a third from a forcing spot. It's not the best game I've played of Umbral, but anyways. If you're trying to learn how to play Umbral, obviously I pointed out the mistakes I made. I overgreeded a lot, right? Having a Silas 2 in a lot of these fights, I would have saved HP and maybe even won them, right? Because the Silas 2 is like one of the key win cons of this comp, right? As much as Irelia 2 is really good, the Silas 2 is really, really important. It's almost as important as hitting an Alune. Obviously, this is a low roll game in the sense that I didn't have Alune 3, and I didn't have like fully upgraded like everything. But there were a lot of mistakes that I made. Now, that being said, it was a difficult game because I would have had to play against this Ashe player who was very strong the whole game. And the Kabuko player who, like the Kabuko augment when you hit like a certain point of stabilization is very fucking strong because it's Kabuko. But still, just know, when you're playing Umbral, you shouldn't overgreed too much, right? You have to play towards level 9. You have to play towards a max cap. But one of the biggest mistakes in this game was not using my duplicator earlier, right? I'm basically down a prismatic for most of the game, right? And as you can see, I'm down a prismatic most of the game, and I'm way stronger than most of the lobby, right? That should just speak to you how strong Wrath of the Moon and these type of setups are. But you have to be really more... I think this was like, I was just overgreeding. I think I really wanted to play for like a first. And I think if I hit Irelia, I could play for a first. And I think that's what I was thinking. But I think like at the same time, you should also like, you know... something I have to get better at is like not overgreeding. This was a prime example of overgreeding in this game, right? So just be aware of that, right? If you're in a similar spot like this and you're bleeding out HP, just use your duplicator, you know? Just use it. Just go. It's fine. You'll be fine, right? But anyways, I digress. This was just another Umbral game. I've played multiple Umbral games on this channel. So if you enjoy the game, make sure to like and subscribe. Obviously, I point out the mistakes I make along the way, as well as talk about like the things I did good, as well as just to give you like a general introduction of this is like an average game that you can play, and use that to learn and improve your own games. Anyways, enjoy. See you around.